Hello everybody, I'm Rusty. I want to welcome you to Island Breeze Tropicals. So today we're going to learn about the proper way to fertilize your bromeliads and some ways that you shouldn't. So you know what? The sun is shining, the island breeze is blowing. It's time that you and I got growing. Come on, let's have some fun and let's talk about fertilizing bromeliads. So there are ways to fertilize your bromeliads, and that will help your plants to remain healthy. And there are ways that you don't want to fertilize your bromeliads. So why don't we go up on the plant deck and take a look? Okay guys, we're up on the plant deck and we're going to talk about fertilization today. The first thing I'm going to do is give you some basics about how you choose a fertilizer, and then I'm going to show you the best fertilizer and the worst that you can use on your bromeliads. So there are some things that you need to know before you purchase your fertilizer. And the first one is the analysis. And the analysis is simply three numbers that you will see on the fertilizer label. Now they're really, really important, and I'm going to show you what those numbers are. Okay, so you can see there are three numbers there. That's 20, 20, 20, and they represent nitrogen, that's your first number. Phosphorus, that's the second number. And potassium, that's your third number. So when you fertilize your bromeliads, this would be, well, you're not going to use this anyway because this is water soluble, but look at the analysis on your fertilizer bag. This would be, I think, way too much. What I would do is I would go maybe with a 10, 10, 10. Certainly nothing stronger than that. So I'm going to start out by showing you a fertilizer that you do not want to use on your bromeliads. And as you can see, it has this beautiful blue color and it mixes up with water. Now I'm not going to tell you the brand, there are a lot of them out there. It has the analysis on here. This is a 20-20-20, and no matter what fertilizer you use, I would not use this strength on your bromeliads. Now, why wouldn't you want to use a water-soluble fertilizer? Well, it means that the nitrogen in this, where 20% is an awful lot, is also going to be readily available to your bromeliad. Why is that a problem? Come on, let me show you. So, why don't we want to use a water-soluble fertilizer with our bromeliads? Well, there are two reasons. One is because the solubility is going to give your bromeliad an extra boost of nitrogen. Well, you don't want that because it's going to take this pretty color that you see here on this Neoregelia lucifer. Isn't that pretty? Take a look at that. That's really, really cool. It's going to take all of that pretty color and it's going to turn it green. Now, it's not going to kill the plant as long as you don't put any fertilizer in the cup. We're going to talk about why that is a really bad idea in just a second. But even if you fertilize right down in here and it has soluble nitrogen, it's going to turn your plant green. Now again, it's not going to be that big a deal. The plant will turn green and it will grow just as happy, but you're not going to have all of this beautiful color that you see here. Now, will the color come back? Well, it will after the plant has metabolized all the fertilizer that you give it, and that depends on the growth of the plant. So you don't want to give this plant or any bromeliad water-soluble fertilizer. Okay, so we don't want to pour any kind of fertilizer into the tank of your bromeliad that will take out the color, but there's even a more serious aspect to doing that, and I'm going to illustrate what that is. So I'm going to do a demonstration to show you why pouring fertilizer into the cup of your bromeliad can not only harm your bromeliad, it can kill it. So let me show you something. Okay, so I'm going to be using this cup, and let's pretend that this is the central tank of your bromeliad. And let's say I want to fertilize my bromeliad, and I go ahead and I pour in some fertilizer. And you can see it going in the cup of your bromeliad right there. Okay, so you say, hey, all that is fertilizer in liquid. But no, it's not. Let me show you something. What that really is, and I'm going to use these clay pebbles to illustrate, what you're really doing is you are putting suspended solids into the tank of your bromeliad, because that's what's in there. Those are soluble salts. They are suspended solids, and so now you've got the tank of your bromeliad and it's got all those suspended solids in there because those are part of the fertilizer that you put in it, and then it evaporates. And then the water evaporates, but guess what doesn't? All of those suspended solids that are in there. So let's say you fertilize your bromeliad in the cup, you've made a mistake or you just didn't know, and nothing bad happens. So you go, well, if one time is good, maybe two will be better. Why don't we do that? So you go back in a week or so and you pour in more fertilizer. Okay, cool. Guess what? You still got the same suspended solids from the last time. And now you've added more. And they don't go anywhere. Just like that. So that's what's inside the tank of your bromeliad. So what's going to happen? If it's done too often, your bromeliad is going to decline in health and it very well could die. Salt of any kind is toxic to your bromeliad, so you don't want to put any fertilizer in the cup, and that includes any granular type of fertilizer. I'm not going to pour it in there. And don't do this. Never put it in the tank of your bromeliad. The same exact thing is going to happen. Now, I've done diagnostic work for some communities where they had planted some bromeliads, and they have maintenance crews, and the maintenance crews broadcast fertilizer for all the trees and shrubs. Well, it got into the tank of these bromeliads, and those bromeliads did die. So let that be a lesson to us. No fertilizer in the cup at all. So where do you put your fertilizer? Well, you would put it in the substrate of the pot, and do so sparingly. I don't recommend any more than about 1/4 of a teaspoon of fertilizer when you fertilize your bromeliads. So if you don't use this, then what can you use? Well, you're going to go looking for a granular fertilizer. Now remember the analysis. You want to keep your first number down low. So what you want to find is a granular fertilizer. Now, it's important that you make sure that your granular fertilizer is a slow release fertilizer. So I'm going to show you down here on the table and show you what that means. Okay, so these are granular fertilizers. As you can see, they do look different, but let's not get too caught up on the color because I'm going to show you something. Now, each one of these little granules that you see in there are called prills. And those prills get distributed only in the soil, only in your substrate of the pot. But there are certain kinds of granular fertilizer that you can use and certain kinds that you can't. Now you're going to be finding this information on the label. Read your labels. Make sure that you do not buy a water-soluble fertilizer, and it can still be water-soluble even if it is a granule. So I've spread this out so that you can see what it looks like, and what I want you to look at really is right here. See that dust? You do not want a fertilizer that feels gritty and dusty, and that means that that prill is not encapsulated, and I'll show you what that means in a second, but it means that that prill is going to dissolve in water, maybe not immediately, but over a period of time, and that will release the constituents of your fertilizer a lot more quickly, and you don't want that for your bromeliad. So I'm going to try and hold the camera, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this out, and I want you to see the dust. Look at that. So see that, all of that dusty stuff? Well, that means that these prills will start dissolving very, very quickly, and that will release especially nitrogen very quickly, and you don't want that. Now, this is an encapsulated prill. It's polymer coated, and the polymer breaks down as the temperature rises up, and that's when your bromeliad is going to start growing. And you can see that there's no dust there. It means that this is completely covered up. Each one of these prills is completely covered up by that polymer, and what that does is it allows water very slowly to go through the prill and release its fertilizer into your plant. So there are two main encapsulated prills that you're probably going to be seeing. One is called Nutricoat, and the other is called Osmocoat, and both of those are a very slow release fertilizer. So what you want to do is you want to look for anything that either has Nutricoat blend or Osmocoat, and keep your analysis down, especially on the nitrogen, and you'll do just fine. So anyway, guys, that's it. Fertilizer used properly will help the health of your bromeliads. Used improperly, the very least that's going to happen is they're going to turn green instead of this beautiful color, or you could adversely affect the health of your bromeliads or even kill them if you're not careful. Well, okay, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed learning how to fertilize your bromeliads. It's really easy once you know how, and if done properly, it will help your plants grow healthy and strong. So no matter where you are, I hope your sun is shining. I hope you have an island breeze blowing. I know that you need to keep growing. Have lots of fun. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.